SampleKings.com, and we've got a brand new series we just started, and it's called Pro Tools 10. It's on sale now. You get 5 DVDs, over 7.5 hours worth of lessons. Now here's a video preview. Let's start a session, and I want to explain something about Pro Tools and sessions. I'm going to go here to File, we're going to go to New, and we got a new session. Now here I want to create a blank session. And I'm going to talk now about sample rate and bit depth. Now what happens in sample rate is that it's like pictures. What's happening is that every second the system is taking a picture or copying all this audio coming in. So it's copying 44,100 samples of this audio signal every second. So it's getting this low to mid to high frequency every second. It's taking a picture of that. And so let's say we go to 48 kilohertz. It's taking more pictures. It's 48,000 pictures. And if we go to 96K, it's taking 96,000 pictures of every single sound in this waveform. I'm playing a bass for that 1 second. It's going to take the high frequencies, the mids, the low mids, and the low frequencies. It expands it further. So it becomes a bigger, huger file. It doubles what 46, 48 was right here. So go back here to 48. That's 48. And the double is 96. So what I'm telling you, it's going to be a huge file. It's going to be pretty big. It's going to be double what 48 is. So be aware of that. But what you will get is a higher fidelity in sound. You'll have every frequency range covered. I prefer to work in 96K, so I keep a pretty huge hard drive, maybe 2 terabytes I'm using for my sessions. And then over here we have our bit depth. Now what the bit depth does, it sort of maps out that frequency. It says, okay, I took this one sample here at this 1 second, and it maps out where the highs and the lows are, to maps it to this overall system. And it's going to map out maybe about 16, maybe 66,000 bits of where that information is going to be at. When you go to 24, it's going to be 16 million different bits. So be aware of that too. So I use 24-bit, and I'm using 96K. We've got these big, huge files, but the fidelity is going to be a lot better because we're going to have this overall larger range to work with. I'm going to have, in my sample rate, the entire frequency range from my low to my high. So I get some really great signals going on. And also the bit depth will map out that sample sound I have there that's being recorded into my Pro Tools system, and then I have a higher bit depth. And at 16 million bits, it's going to offer me a really great choice and a really great sound. Now in some systems you may have 32-bit, which is a really higher level and offers you higher fidelity. So be aware of that and make sure your system, if you're going to use 32 bits, it's set up for that. And you have a hard drive that's really huge so you can save files and maybe get rid of files and bring in old and new sessions also. The next thing we have here is Interleaved. Now, back in the old days when you first had Pro Tools, you would record a stereo session. Let's say you had a stereo guitar output or some stereo input into your system. And what happens is that you got this keyboard, it's recording in stereo, you would get 2 mono files. But here we have Interleaved. So when you check this box here, it'll take those files and make them combined, and they're going to always be close to each other. They're going to be locked to each other. That way they won't be separated as 2 different mono left and mono right. They'll be interleaved. They'll work together. And next here, our next option here is the I/O setup. So the I/O setup deals with the input and output settings, and we'll cover more of this later on in our sessions. But it's important to realize too that you may already have some setups already. There are some that come with Pro Tools. For example, we have a standalone M-Box here. We have an M-Box Pro 2, which I already set up myself. And depending on what your interface is, you may have some setups, and of course a stereo mix. But this is our I/O setup. That's for our input and output with our interface choice. And for my case, I'm using an M-Box 2. You may have a Pro Control or a Control 24 or a Digi 0, 2, or 3. So be aware of that. And also we have these audio file types that we can use, which is WAV or AIFF. Now both of them work either way with PC or Mac, just depending on what you want to use. In this case I'm using WAV because WAV is a format used on every system. In case I need to take my system, you may get a record deal, you may have to go do some sort of movie project or commercial, and you may take this file and send this session to someone else, they can use it in Wave also as well.